Hey friends, hey, welcome to week 5. It is our final week of the emergency learning plan, which means after this week, it is all sun and fun in the summer. So let's get through this. And this week we'll be focusing on surface area and volume of three-dimensional figures. So we're still working with the formula sheet that you've been exposed to the last 2 weeks, but this time we're going to be working on the three-dimensional shape. Rectangular prism, a cylinder, a square-based or rectangular-based pyramid, and then the cone. So before we kind of dive into how to use the formulas and then look at some stuff with the Desmos calculator, let's define volume and surface area. So for volume, we're talking about the inside of the three-dimensional figure, right? How much it can hold, right? So the inside of the shape. So if you're looking at like keywords or if you're filling the container or how much it will hold, right? How much is really on that inside. So if you want to fill a pool with water or you have a cup and you want to fill it or things like that, that would be the volume. Volume, when it comes to units of measurements, we'll use the unit of measurement, say it's centimeters, and then we would answer it in cubed, centimeters cubed, or meters cubed, or miles cubed, or inches cubed, right? So it's just going to be that unit of measurement to the third power, or remember what we call cubed. So for volume, you're going to be with the unit of measurement to the third power. For surface area, we're talking about the outside of the shape, right? So in terms of word problems, if you want to cover the shape or you want to like wrap it, right? Wrapping a present would be the surface area. When it comes to the unit of measurement, we still do centimeters squared, right? So think area, remember, is always going to be to the second power or squared. So centimeters squared or meters squared or miles squared, etc. Right? So surface area squared, volume, your answer will be in cubed. So let's dive in and actually look at how to apply or how to find the different parts or how to find the surface area and volume of the different shapes. We're going to start with a rectangular prism. I'm going to kind of close this and show you most of this on the Desmos calculator. When you're looking at the rectangular prism, we're right here, right? We have volume, length times width times height. Surface area, the formula is 2 times the length times the width plus 2 times the length times the height plus 2 times the width times the height. It doesn't really matter which one you determine is the length, width, or height. Normally, length is kind of this like, kind of front to back. Width would be side to side, and height is then up and down. But doesn't matter as long as you label one the width, one the length, and one the height. Remember with the Desmos calculator, it's super simple, super simple to find like volume and surface area using the Desmos calculator. So if we look at volume specifically, volume equals length times width times height. So literally you type in the formula. Then you just tell the calculator what you know. Length is 6. Oops. It's helpful if I use the L. Length is 6. Width is 3. Height is 2. Once I have that, boom, I have my answer right here. The volume is 36 feet cubed. Look, I almost said squared. Cubed, right? Cubed. So the volume is cubed. So 36 feet cubed, or 36 what we call cubic feet. For surface area, I have that long formula, 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH. Don't be frightened with the fact that it is a long formula. But there are some things with the Desmos that you have to know. Don't type in SA equals. It just doesn't work out the same. So you don't even have to type in that part. You can just do 2LW plus 2LH plus 2WH, right? So if you just type in that kind of like smaller part of the equation, just that expression part, then you can tell the calculator what you know. Length is 6, width is 3, height is 2. And then boom, right there at the top, it'll tell you the surface area. So the surface area for this rectangular prism is 72 feet squared, or 72 square feet is how we would actually say that in life. So super simple, right? That Desmos calculator will always do the trick for you. Type in the formula, plug in what you know, it'll solve for what we don't. Easy, easy peasy. The rectangular prism is definitely the easier one. So let's kind of move over to cylinders and finding volume and surface area of a cylinder. So again, right now we go back to the formula sheet. Boom, there's our formula. For volume, it's pi r squared h. For surface area, 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h, right? It looks a little intimidating, but don't worry, it really is not. So if we wanted to find the volume, remember pi r squared h. Over here, we say volume equals. Remember, for pi, we're using 3.14. So you're not going to use the pi button, but you're literally going to type in 3.14 r squared right here, and then h. Boom. So if I look at the cylinder, the radius of that top part is 4. The height is 15. It'll even give me a diagram kind of right here above the formula so you can see what's the radius and then what's the height, right? So it'll kind of label those things for you. So I go back to my calculator. Radius is 4. Height is 15. And I have this 753.6 centimeters cubed. Remember, the cubed comes after that unit of measurement, right? Super simple. Type in the formula, plug in what you know. I can leave, since I'm using the same cylinder, I can leave the R and the H right here. And just for surface area, come up and change this. Now, here's a little trick with the Desmos calculator. So you see with the surface area has 2 pi r squared plus 2 pi r h. I like to put those two separate kind of things in parentheses. It's not really mandatory, but it just makes me feel better about what's happening. So I make sure they're kind of all like clustered together. So I can kind of ensure that orders of operations is really taking place. So if I do 2 times 3.14, remember you're not using the symbol, r squared plus, I'm going to do those parentheses again, 2 times 3.14 RH. Close out those parentheses. And since the R and the H are already on there for us, boom, it's right here. 477 and 2800 centimeters squared. Remember, for surface area, we're doing that squared scenario, right? Easy. Use the formula sheet, plug in what you know. Couldn't be easier if we tried. All right, now we're going to get to some complicated stuff. So when we look at pyramids, right, we're only going to talk about square and rectangular based pyramids. But if I look down at the formulas down here, I have some new things that are happening. I have a big B, so I got to know what that is. And I have this kind of L scenario. So big B means area of the base, right? So that's something I have to calculate separately and then plug it in. And then that L is what we call the slant height. Slant height, boom, right there. So the slant height is this like diagonal right here. The slant height is this like 8 centimeters. So they have a formula. They have the diagram down here. If you look at the pyramid, they have big B kind of in the center of that rectangular base. And then H top to bottom. L is that slant height that goes kind of diagonally. So slant height is the L, big B area of the base. But don't worry, I will show you how to solve it. So if I want to find volume, volume is 1/3 big BH. So I just come over to my Desmos, volume equals 1/3. And then I'm going to just do a little b, BH, but that's okay. I'll show you how to do it. So when I go to type in, well, what is the B? B is area of the base. Remember, this is a rectangular base. So here, 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 right? So 8 centimeters is the length, 5 centimeters is the width. All I really have to do is go up on the formula sheet to the rectangle. Area of the base would be length times width. So when I put in B here, I can calculate it. I can just do 8 times 5 on my own, right, which is 40. Or I can literally type in 8 times 5. And it'll do it for me. And then I have H equals. Now, H is the height, not the slant height. So the height of this, let me erase some of this kind of craziness so you can see what's going on. The height is just kind of this up and down one, right? So that 6 centimeters is the height. Remember, that other 8 is the slant height. So I have height is 6. So boom, right here, solves it for me. So the volume of that pyramid is 80 centimeters cubed. Remember that cubed, super important. For surface area, I have 1/2 LP plus big B. What is happening there? Remember, the little p stands for perimeter. Again, I can come back up here to the rectangle on my formula sheet and find how to calculate, perimeter. So 2 length plus 2W, right? So if I clear this all out, I'm going to type in the formula for surface area. 1/2 LP plus B. And I'm going to use the lowercase b just in the Desmos, but we mean big B. So remember, slant height is the 8, this kind of diagonal one right here. So L is 8. Oops. L is 8. And then I have to calculate perimeter. So to be honest, you could do it just kind of right here. You could just say, 2 times 8 plus, I like to do parentheses, 2 times 5, or you can kind of solve it separately and then do it together. So it's 26, right? 16 plus 10, pretty basic stuff. So perimeters, 26, and then you still have to tell big B. So remember, big B, area of the base, so 8 times 5. So you can set this up where you can have the calculator solve it and you're just plugging in numbers, or you could calculate, big B and then the perimeter over here by yourself and then just plug in those numbers. It's really more of a preference at that point. But we have all the things in here, so boom, 144. So the surface area is 144 centimeters squared, right? So that one a little more complicated because we have to know those other symbols. So remember, big B, area of the base. L is slant height. And then remember, P is going to be perimeter. So you just have to know what those letters mean. And then you can use the formula sheet to find the area of the base and the perimeter of the base. Because the base is going to be, for our purposes, a rectangle or a square. You will eventually, in geometry, start doing triangular-based pyramids, which is a longer formula. But don't worry about that quite yet. All right, on to the last one. Oh my goodness, I can't believe it. All right, so let's look at cones. So cones were down here on this formula, right? So volume is 1/3 pi r squared h. Surface area pi r squared plus pi r l. Same thing. You just look at the formula, plug it into the calculator, and then solve for volume and surface area with using the dimensions here. So height is going to be the interior up and down. Radius, half the length of the diameter on the circle. And remember that L is the slant height, that diagonal line. So if I look at volume equals 1/3 pi, so I'm going to say times 3.14, because we're not using the pi symbol, times r squared times h, right? And I don't have to put that dot there. I could kind of have kept it all together. So I just plug in what I know. The radius is 3. Oops. The height is 8. And then for volume, it's 55 and 36/100 meters cubed. Don't forget that part, right? And then the last thing we're going to do is surface area. Again, you're just typing in the formula. I like to, because that's separated by that plus sign, I like to keep it in parentheses, 3.14 r squared plus parentheses 3.14 RL. Boom. Oops. Whatever. Oh, geez. Z's. Tired, apparently. So my radius is 3. My slant height is 10, because it says it right there. Boom. Slant height is 10. And then voila, 122.46 meters squared, right? So really with that formula sheet, that Desmos calculator is just super important. Type in the formula, plug in what you know, it'll solve for the thing that you want, either volume or surface area. Remember, volume inside of the shape, right? If you wanted to fill it, surface area would be the outside, like if you wanted to wrap it. So now what do we do? Well, now you're almost done with the entire year. How crazy. So you're going to finish your lesson slide. There's one more video that you can watch. Complete the interactive slides. Then when you get to your choice board, circle your choice on the choice board. You literally just have to drag the circle over top. Complete your choice. You have to actually do it. Then post a shareable link, please, please, please. By week 5, that link should be shareable to the activity that you completed. If you did the checkup, then just type in your score on that final slide. If you did an activity, paste that shareable link, and then for the love of all things, turn in your assignment. And then if you have all 5 weeks done, it is party time, because that means your summer is here, your pre-algebra is done, and you are moving on to Algebra 1 next year. Crazy. So remember, you have to have all 5 weeks done. So if you have not finished a week, make sure you're doing that either this week or next week. I think everything has to be turned in by like June 10th, I believe. So if you're done by this week, you're totally done with what I have for you. But if you're not done, I'm going to keep bothering you until June 10th to finish up your assignments. So finish them up. Just know that it was my absolute honor and privilege to be your teacher. It did not end the way I would have liked. Usually I like to do fun activities at the end that like reflect, and we hang out and play and do all that fun stuff. But unfortunately, this year it didn't work out like that. I love you, love you, love you, love you, love you forever and ever. I will always be here if you have questions. If you need anything, just message me, join our Zoom, any of that stuff. If not, I love you. Farewell. Enjoy the most amazing, maybe quarantined summer. I don't really know how it'll go, but we shall see together. Love you, love you. Bye.